I haven't even seen
We've
how I've done on
just
this.
had the Tony Awards. I'm old enough to remember back to when it was in the single digits, but our two contributors, David Buchanan and Sam Ekman, are younger, but do so much better at me predicting these things. Now, David was our absolute best at predicting the nominations, and I don't think you have those bragging rights for the winners, David, but I'm going to turn it over to you and Sam to explain what went right for you and what went wrong and why. How the Tony voters got it wrong when you knew what they should have been predicting instead.
Yeah, I'd say the two things that really stumped us both, because I think Sam and I predicted the same winners across the board, were we didn't anticipate Dear Evan Hansen to be as strong as it was in terms of almost sweeping across the board. And then both directing categories for play and musical, those winners, I think I had maybe as high as third place in my predictions. So those came as real surprises to me.
Yeah, I'm really shocked. The first one that shocked me was Dear Evan Hansen for orchestra. I don't think anyone, like, what Gold Derby viewers don't see is David and I frantically texting each other hours before the thing closes on Gold Derby. But we assumed that Orchestrations was between Great Comet and Hello Dolly, and somehow Dear Evan Hansen came and stole it from both of them. So that was really, I was like, oh crap, we're in trouble here.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how that category plays out, because next year they're doing, it's a specific group of voters who are going to vote on that.
Right, it's a peer group
in that field. Yeah. So I'm interested to see how that changes it. I think that just Dear Evan Hansen was the choice for Best Musical, and that swept it along, but that was not what I was expecting at all.
No, if anything, what we thought would happen was we knew Dave Malloy, who is the brain behind Great Comet. We knew he wouldn't win for score, and we knew he wouldn't win for book. So we thought if they know how much he's done creatively for that show, they might give him Orchestrations, which he definitely deserved. I thought, of the list, he would have been a really deserving winner. So to see him not win, and then to see our second choice not win, and something totally unexpected was really surprising.
And but also, weren't you surprised that the Great Comet director wasn't going to be the Dear Evan Hansen director, who's never won? Then you thought it would be the Great Comet director, this woman who's sort of shepherded the show from a very small little setting up to a Broadway stage. It really is inexplicable, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so strange because Chavkin she's had a narrative the whole season long about. I thought she was kind of a shoo-in, even though it was a bizarre kind of stats circumstance for her to win. I thought she would totally take it, but I thought her competitor was Michael Greif because he had never won for Rent, and all these years later he's directed not only Dear Evan Hansen but Warpaint as well this season.
Yeah.
And I thought if Come From Away won, it would either be in book, which I thought was guaranteed, and it lost.
Me too.
Which was a weird thing, or in featured actress for Jen Colella, because she was kind of representative of the entire cast. But they is kept because of his direction. I think I can kind of thought, this whole I just thought the race was between Chavkin and Greif, and we were wrong.
Yeah,
because only the Tony voters know.
Yeah, and that's what's so strange is you would never think that the one award, first of all, that Come From Away would only win. It was conceivable that it would only win one, but for it to be direction, and then for Dear Evan Hansen, if it's going to sweep the board, to miss director, really made no sense. And I think as we were watching the ceremony, I was thinking to myself, well, this is a clear indication of a musical that's just sweeping the board. And okay, well, it's definitely going to win musical now. And then Come From Away wins direction out of nowhere. How did that category not get caught up in a sweep? It kind of defies explanation. It really
I think
does.
it's really it's representative of a season that is very, this was kind of a spreading the wealth Tonys. It was not,
Yeah.
there's no Hamilton that kind of sweeps everything. We had a really robust season that had a lot of great competitors, and they spread the wealth between all the shows that deserved it,
Yeah. I felt like that more. I think they did a better job of that on the play side than they did on the musical side. I mean, Revival, if you look at the musicals and revivals, Dolly won lead actress, featured actor. Evan Hansen won those categories, lead actor, featured actress. So the acting awards were shared only amongst two shows. And then Dear Evan Hansen almost took, out of all the front runners, Great Comet didn't win nearly as much as I thought. Come From Away did probably on par with what I thought. Groundhog Day didn't win anything. War Paint didn't win anything. But the best plays, aside from Sweat, unfortunately, I guess the Pulitzer is the consolation. Go figure. But the other three best play nominees at least picked up one significant trophy, which I thought was really great.
And then just in terms of the best play nominees, I really did think that having the playwrights speak about their play, I mean, it was really wonderful.
That was the best they've ever had. Every year we have this debate about how do you present the play now. A lot of times they get it wrong, and this year I thought it was the perfect way to do it. They really knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
But again, on the play side, we talked about this for the directing. The woman that directed Indecent, I think, Sam, you're a big fan of the show, and you must have been thrilled.
Yeah, I was mad that I didn't. I had a few categories where I was like, oh my god, I had predicted them up until a few days ago and switched it because of the experts' predictions. Rebecca Teichman, I should have gone with my gut and held fast to her winning Best Director. It's very well deserved. She's billed as a co-creator. She kind of co-created that piece with Paula Vogel, and I think she's only the 5th woman ever to win Best Director in a play at the Tonys.
Wow!
So it's a big deal. She's incredibly deserving. She's who I would want to win. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, it's so funny when she won, and I was really shocked because I thought the race, I had Ruben Santiago Hudson predicted. I thought, okay, if not, definitely Bart Scher because Oslo's probably going to win Best Play. And then when she won, I said, oh my gosh, Sam might be right, and Indecent might win Best Play because it won the other two. How wild would that have been? That would have been really something.
I had a lot of things where I was right tonight, but didn't go with my gut and predicted.
Yeah.
Like Michael Aronov for featured actor, who I had until yesterday and changed, and then hated myself forever for it. But whatever.
Yeah, it's. I do it all the time, and I wasn't. I remember you talking about Michael Aronov, Sam. I did it with The Play Goes Wrong. We talked about this yesterday, and I said that the set design was the star of the show, and then you get swept up in this idea. Oh well, it's the only nomination, and then Eddie Blankenbuehler also being the only nomination for his show, Bandstand, and winning.
Yeah.
Well, they had orchestrations as well. Wasn't the only one, but
that's right. Yeah.
We debated that a lot.
I'll have to correct.
Was far and away the best choreography of the season, so I was happy that he won.
So what we're sort of pleased with the winners, even if we didn't predict them. What did David? What did you think of of Kevin Spacey as host? What was your take on him?
I thought he did a great job. I thought he was he gave us a lot more of the quote unquote traditional Tony host than I thought he would. We had a really big opening number. Well, not as big as Neil Patrick Harris's, but we had a big opening number. He closed the show with a song. So I liked that about it. And I also liked that he took a more satirical look at the material. He skewered a lot of, either what we're expecting from the Tonys, or even that opening number I thought was great because it had a lot of inside baseball jokes that if you're maybe, a casual viewer at home, you might not understand why he took the Dear Evan Hansen cast off and put it on his leg when he was doing Groundhog Day. But, for people who follow this stuff, I thought that was just so clever and funny. So I thought he brought a lot of, it was a pretty intelligent, approach to his hosting duties. So I was impressed.
Yeah, I love that the Tonys just kind of don't care about the fact that like mass American audiences don't know all the jokes they're doing. Like,
yeah,
most people probably didn't catch that, the cast was an Andy Karl joke about spraining his or tearing his ACL, but I thought it was hysterical. And I love that it's kind of like, you either know it or you don't. And I thought he did do a good job of sending up, the fact that he was like the 15th choice to host. Was great, and he surpassed what I thought he would do. And he was present in the opening, and he kind of did a few bits, but for the most part, he let the shows speak for themselves. Smart choice.
Now, 6 or 7 million people watch the show. Most of them haven't seen the shows in contention, but they might come to New York to see them eventually, or see the musicals when they tour. Which shows did you think did the best job of presenting themselves? Like, I certainly thought Great Comet, and watching those numbers, if I was sitting at home and hadn't seen those shows, I'd be like, oh, I want tickets for those. Those look like that's a lot of razzmatazz. What do you think?
I agree. So I thought Great Comet was great. I thought Dear Evan Hansen's performance probably was exactly what fans and viewers wanted. I thought the Warpaint performance, regardless of what you think of the show, just seeing the two women on stage singing together, I thought was just fantastic. I was really disappointed with the Groundhog Day performance. I thought they picked a really baffling song to showcase the show. I didn't get it because there were many numbers in that show that they could have easily picked that would have been a better representation of the material. I don't know why they wanted to pick something that was more somber and had more dramatic heft. Overall, I thought the performances were pretty good, and the exception of two. As much as I love David Hyde Pierce and he gave it his all, I think in context that Penny in My Pocket, I think, really would have disappointed a lot of viewers at home hoping to see a big Hello Dolly number that they actually recognize.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have him singing a song cut from the show, and then they have Bette Midler come out afterward. I mean, it was the whole thing. I mean, they made, I think, a bad situation worse to have it.
Yeah.
She comes out right afterwards, I mean, if she'd even come out, wouldn't it have been fun if she'd come out in the Dolly costume, and maybe sung,
or any other number. Why they said we need to do it at our own theater is because during the title number and Put On Your Sunday Clothes, they jump over the lip of the stage to the words are failing me right now, but the proscenium there they have that juts out over the audience, and it's like, okay, well, you could have done Put My Hand in Here, or It Only Takes a Moment, or so many other numbers that are representative of like the lush classical grand thing that is Hello Dolly versus that David Hyde Pierce number.
Right. And obviously Great Comet restaged their number. They did that. So but I think it's certainly Bette Midler's win at the end. It's funny with the orchestra playing her because they recitation of a list of names. They constantly tell the nominees, don't do that. Nobody at home wants to hear a long list of names. Why she didn't start off where she ended by thanking the women that had come before her. is you know, she kind of knew she had a pretty good shot at it. You know.
Yeah, that's something that I mean, regardless of how she was doing it, you know, she brought humor to how she was presenting the people she was thanking. She was making a lot of quips, which I thought were entertaining. But that's something that always bugs me, is that, not that you ever want to jinx yourself, but when you know you're going into a ceremony with that much of a guarantee to win, it felt like she prepared her remarks. You know, she knew what she wanted to say. She certainly had things that she wanted to hit. But it felt like a very unfocused acceptance speech.
And then, sorry, I just wanted to make one other point about Bette Midler. Who decided, and maybe it was her, that she was going to present Best Actress in a Play where one of the nominees was Sally Field, famously beat Bette for the Oscar way back when in 1979, when Bette was nominated for the Rose and Sally won for Norma Ray. And Bette sort of spent 30 plus years talking about that. You know, there's, and given that it was very unlikely Sally Field was going to win, that just seemed in slightly bad taste.
Mm-hmm.
And on the musical side, Glenn Close got to present Best Actress in a Musical, where Patti LuPone was a contender and famously had a feud. Or Patti feuded against Glenn, where you want to view it.
I had to, yes. Well, they've made up, supposedly.
They made up at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
Glenn made up, yeah.
Yeah. So, we were happy enough?
I mean, I would have been happier if I had gone with my gut on a few things, like Rebecca Teichman or Michael Aronoff, who I talked about should win, but I didn't pick them. But that's what always happens.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly happy with the result, except, like I was saying earlier, I don't think the winners on the musical side represented what an incredible and robust season it was. I think they did a better job at spreading the wealth, as it were, and really representing the best works from many different shows. On the play side, where, you know, Jitney took home awards, Little Foxes took home awards, Oslo Indecent, A Doll's House Part 2, like, all took home major awards, where it felt like on the musical side, too much of Dear Evan Hansen, when, you know, I don't want to say or give the impression that it's undeserving, but, you know, Great Comet only going home with 2, Come From Away going home with 1, nothing for Groundhog Day, War Paint. It felt a little lopsided to me.
Well, the great thing about Broadway, I mean, the new season's already started, right? 1984 I think is opening soon. There'll be 3 more shows this summer, so we'll have lots to talk about. Well, thanks, guys, for staying up late after the Tonys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Paul.